Alright people, so welcome to Jumbo IAS and welcome to this lecture series called UPSC Prelims Phoenix batch. In this batch, we revise the entire syllabus for UPSC Prelims examination. Now this includes static portion as well as current affairs. The thing is that, well, currently, if you're well versed in this Phoenix batch schedule, because if you have already enrolled, you know the timetable. Currently, we are going through the static portion. Current affairs are going on parallelly. But in the static portion, currently we are going through ancient and medieval history. And today is day 10 for ancient and medieval history. And within day 10, the targets are, well, Mughal period. Well, the Mughal period is a very big period, so we are going to cover it in two parts. So today's targets were Mughals part 1. Okay, so without further delay, let's straight away revise the entire portion through a set of 30 MCQs. So let's begin. So ancient medieval history, day 10, and today we are going to cover Mughals. Part 1. Okay, let's begin with question number 1. So consider the following statements about Mansabdars. They hold administration of their jagirs given by the king. Mansabdar had to maintain a specified number of cavalrymen. Zat is the unit which represents the position of a noble in court. Now look, there were high level positions within the Mughal administration, okay, very high level, like the ministers, okay, and those positions were that of Mansabdars. Now, Mansabdars were given salary, okay. Now, that salary was in the form of land assignments, jagirs. So, they would be given a piece of land. The revenue from that land would be their salary, okay. These pieces of land were called jagirs. That was just their salary, okay. It was just their salary. They were not responsible for the administration of that particular jagir. You understand? That was just their salary. But yes, in that particular area, well, they will receive a salary and they have to maintain savars. Savars are, well, the number of cavalry troops that they have to maintain from that salary also. So every Mansabdar had a Zat. Zat was actually their rank. Higher the Zat, I mean, if you are higher the Zat, higher would be your salary. And higher would be the number of cavalrymen you have to maintain, so that in case there is a war, you have to contribute towards it. Okay. Now, administration part is false. Administration of a particular province was handled by Subedar. For different territorial areas, there were different people. This was just salary. The Jagirs were just salary. Mansabdar had to maintain a specified number of cavalrymen, Savar. Zat is the unit which represents the position. So higher the Zat, higher the salary, higher the position in the court of the emperor. Okay, so this is also correct. The answer would come out to be 2 and 3. This Mansabdari system was started by Akbar only. Okay, next. The principle of Sulh-e-Kul was followed by which Mughal emperor in their governance? Now, what is the principle of Sulh-e-Kul? Principle of Sulh-e-Kul is universal tolerance, religious tolerance. Okay, who followed this principle? This principle was started by Akbar. Jahangir followed it. Shah Jahan followed it. Aurangzeb abandoned it. Okay, Aurangzeb basically imposed jizya also, all these things. So it was not Sulh-e-Kul. And Aurangzeb's son Akbar too, well, not son, but the successor. Well, after Aurangzeb, Sulh-e-Kul policy was abandoned. So it was just these three top emperors of Mughal Empire who followed the principle of universal religious tolerance. Okay, so this is Shah Jahan, Jahangir, Akbar, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, next. With reference to Mughal contribution in painting, consider the following statements. Babur did not take considerable interest in painting nor commissioned any artist. Two painters, Abdus Samad and Mir Sayyid Ali, were patronized by Humayun. Akbar discontinued use of foreshortening. Humayun established Tasveer Khana to encourage Indian artists. Now, this is not true that Babur did not take any interest in painting. He did. His term was short. Okay, his reign was short. It was just 4 years, but he did take part in, well, he did commission some painting artists. So this is false. Humayun basically bought or commissioned two painters from Persia. Okay, in Persia, there was this Safavid dynasty. So he got Safavid painters from Persia. He was really inspired, or he was really attracted towards Persian paintings. So he commissioned two artists, Abdus Samad and Mir Sayyid Ali, from there. So this is true. Akbar discontinued the use of foreshortening. Now, foreshortening is a type of painting style in which if you want to show that some object is far off and some object is closer to you in one painting, so you make the far distance object small, and the object that you have to show is nearer, you make it big. This is known as foreshortening. To convey distance in a painting, you basically make the object shorter. This is foreshortening. Akbar discontinued that? Absolutely not. It continued throughout Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan. Humayun established Tasveer Khana to encourage Indian artists. No, actually, Tasveer Khana was created by Akbar. Okay, where it was basically an organization which promoted Indian painters. That was Akbar, not Humayun. So only 2 is correct. Okay, next. Which of the following were introduced by Mughals in India? Introduction of paper, distillation of perfumes through distillation techniques, development of rhinoplasty, cannon. Now look, paper was introduced even before Mughals. During the Tughlaqs, paper was introduced, 14th century, 13th century paper was introduced, and during Tughlaqs it was widespread. So no. Distillation of perfumes through distillation techniques was also there in Delhi Sultanate. Rhinoplasty was, well, in ancient India, Sushruta. But yes, Babur did introduce cannon in India. So only 4 is correct. Okay, next. Consider the following statements with respect to the policy of Sulh-e-Kul during Akbar's reign. It was the idea of tolerance which did not discriminate between people of different religions in his realm. It focused on a system of ethics that was universally applicable. It was not followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan. So we have already discussed that Jahangir, Shah Jahan followed Sulh-e-Kul. Now, Sulh-e-Kul was of universal tolerance. People of all religious faiths can live under Akbar's reign. In fact, Jizya was abolished during Akbar. Okay, so it was the idea of tolerance which did not, yes. It focused on system of ethics, yes. Okay, so the answer would be 1 and 2. Clear? Next. Assertion reason type questions. So Babur wrote his memoirs in Turkey. Turkey was the official language of Mughal court. So yes, Babur wrote his memoirs, his autobiography, Baburnama or Tazuke Babri basically, in Turkish language. Absolutely correct. Okay, Tazuke Babri or Baburnama. Turkey was the official, Turkish was the official language of Mughal court? No, the official language was Persian of all Mughal emperors. So A is true, R is false. Remember this, Persian was the official language. Okay, next. Consider the following. The arrival of Babur into India led to introduction of gunpowder and cannons, establishment of Timurid dynasty, introduction of arc and dome in the region's architecture, the arc type architecture, RQ8. So look, Babur did introduce cannons. This is correct, but gunpowder came to India even before Babur. It was introduced via Mongols only. So this is false. Establishment of Timurid dynasty, yes. The Mughals called themselves as successors to Temur. Okay, they considered Temur to be their predecessor. So they did establish Timurid dynasty, yes. Introduction of arc and dome. The domes in Indian architecture and the arches, they were introduced during Delhi Sultanate only. Khaljis and Tughlaqs. So this is false. The Mughals didn't introduce it. It was already there in Indian architecture. So the answer would come out to be 2 only. Okay, remember this. Next. With reference to miniature painting, paintings on very small canvas, okay, like book, very small. Consider the following. It was introduced by Mughals in India. The Mughal style was marked by supple naturalism based on close observation of nature. It was a synthesis of indigenous Indian style of painting and Safavid, the Persian style of painting. Now, look, the Mughals really loved miniature paintings. They commissioned a lot of miniature paintings, but miniature paintings have a, well, they have a longer history than Mughals. Miniature paintings were there as far back as Palas of Bengal. Remember the tripartite struggle, Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakoot and Palas. So Palas commissioned many miniature paintings. So miniature paintings didn't start from Mughals. So this is absolutely false. But yes, well, during Delhi Sultanate period, painting natural things, nature was kind of forbidden as against Sharia law. But the Mughals didn't care about that. The Mughals loved natural paintings. So this is their observation of nature. And yes, the miniature paintings was a mixture of Indian style of painting and Persian style because Persian artists were commissioned. So it was a fusion of sorts. So this is correct. The answer would be 2 and 3. Okay, next. Consider the following statements. Pietra dura is a triangular bracket in the angle of two walls connecting the base of the dome to its supporting arches. In the Mughal architecture, the octagonal form of central chamber containing the centograph is inspired by Syrian and early Islamic models. Mihrab in mosques indicated the direction of Kaaba in Mecca. Okay. So Pietra dura is basically, there are these precious, semi-precious stones, sapphire, ruby. They were inlaid in the walls. Okay. This inlay work of semi-precious stones was called Pietra dura, not this. Mughal architecture did have octagonal form of central chamber, which was inspired from early Islamic models. This is correct. And in every mosque, there is a mihrab, which points towards the direction of Kaaba. Every Muslim, while during namaz, actually faces towards Kaaba. So the mihrab actually helped in that area. So yes, this is correct. The answer would be again 2 and 3. Okay.